Hello again so soon. I found one of the books I told you I liked. I found at someone's house one time. I read it. It's called Gus and the Baby Ghost. Now, I don't believe in ghosts. The way I believe when people die, they go to sleep and they're buried and they're waiting until the trumpet of the Lord at the end of time. They're not floating around as ghosts. They're not rising up and talking to you. I believe those are demons. But when I found this book, not only is it a purple book, which is my favorite color, um, it was very interesting and amusing. So even though I don't believe in ghosts, I found this book and I decided I had to have it again. So we're going to read Gus and the Baby Ghost by Jane Thayer. This is Gus, in case you didn't know, and these are sheets. Of course, you can't see baby ghosts, but he's rocking in the cradle. Gus the Ghost and Mr. Frizzle ran the historical museum. Gus at night, Mr. Frizzle during the day. Mr. Frizzle lived upstairs. Gus had an attic apartment. Cora the cat lived here and there, and Mouse the mouse had his own private quarters. Late one night, when Gus was in charge, Cora came in from a moonlight walk and said, "A baby ghost's outside." I'm guessing this is the museum, a tiny one. There's Cora the cat, there's Mouse the mouse, and Gus the ghost. Sure enough, a baby ghost wrapped in a ghostly blanket lay on the step. "What do I do with it?" Gus cried. "Wah!" yelled the baby ghost. "Feed it," said Cora. "Grown-up ghosts never get hungry, but baby ghosts often do." They found the baby, and he picked it up. Gus carried the baby ghost in its blanket into the old-fashioned kitchen and found some milk. "Warm," advised Cora. Gus warmed the milk. "Bottle," said Cora. Gus made some ghostly remarks, and a baby's bottle appeared. "Wah!" yelled baby ghost when the milk was gone. "Burp," advised Cora. Gus tossed baby ghost over his shoulder and patted until a bubble came up. "Wah!" "Change," directed Cora. Gus produced a clean diaper. "Coo," said baby ghost contentedly when the diaper was changed. He's feeding the baby and burping it. That cat seems to know quite a bit about baby ghosts. "Sleepy," said Cora. Gus had just laid baby ghost in the antique cradle and covered it with the old paisley shawl when Mr. Frizzle came running downstairs, his bathrobe flying. There's the big picture. Now you see Mouse the mouse. There's Mr. Frizzle. It's Cora, Gus, and of course the baby ghost. "I thought I heard a baby," he cried. "Baby ghost," corrected Gus. "Where?" yelled Mr. Frizzle. "Cradle," said Gus. The cradle looked empty to Frizzle, but he could see it was rocking gently. "What in thunder is it doing here?" he shouted. "Sleeping," said Gus. Mr. Frizzle, who had a terrible temper, began to shout and tell Gus he wouldn't have a baby ghost in his museum. Gus began to shout back, not knowing what else to do. Cora went under the Boston rocker, and Mouse scurried into the wall. Baby ghost waked up with all this noise and yelled, "Wah!" Cora yelled, "Meow!" Mouse snarled, "Shut up!" "Go to bed, Frizzle," shouted Gus. There's Mouse the mouse. He doesn't look very happy, does he? Mr. Frizzle's yelling at Gus, and Cora's hiding under the rocker. And the baby's in the cradle, crying. Finally, Mr. Frizzle pounded upstairs. When he had gone, Gus sat down with a sigh of relief in the Boston rocker, and Cora leaped onto his lap. Gus rocked the cradle until baby ghost fell asleep. Gus understood how Mr. Frizzle felt. Frizzle was proud that many people came to see the museum, and he didn't want anything to frighten them. Gus kept out of the way, but a crying baby ghost might not. I'll do something tomorrow, thought Gus. He fell asleep rocking the cradle. Baby Ghost slept, and Cora slept. Only Mouse whisked about busily, looking for a crumb of something. And there's Mouse. Cats like a lap to sleep in, even if it is the lap of a ghost. When daylight came, Gus warmed another bottle for Baby Ghost. Bath, advised Cora. Gus got a baby's bathtub and filled it with warm, ghostly water. Baby Ghost was so cute, splashing and happily gurgling, that Gus began to feel happy himself. When he had it all dry and smelling of ghostly talcum powder, he decided he would like to keep this little baby ghost. But I can't keep it in my attic apartment, he told himself. It has to sleep in the cradle. Besides, my ghostly bones are too old to run upstairs with bottles. He carried Baby Ghost back to the old cradle. Wah! Cried Baby Ghost, who was hungry again. Down came Frizzle, filled with fury. It's still here, he cried. Shh, said Gus. Call the police, shouted Mr. Frizzle. Very funny, said Gus. Wah! Yelled Baby Ghost. There's Gus giving the baby a bath, and Mr. Frizzle yelling at Gus. Mr. Frizzle called the police himself. There's a baby ghost at the historical museum. Come and get it. Beg pardon, said the police. I want to get rid of a baby ghost, shouted Mr. Frizzle. 2 policemen came. What seems to be the trouble? They said. We've got a baby ghost, said Mr. Frizzle. Are you feeling all right, Mr. Frizzle? Asked the police. I feel fine, shouted Frizzle. Show us this baby ghost, said the policeman politely. Gus isn't happy, Mr. Frizzle's calling. The police. There's Cora, and he's telling the policeman. But Gus had decided that he was going to scare the policeman away. He raced upstairs and brought down his bang-clank equipment, which he kept in case somebody wanted to hear a ghost clanking sound. Bang-clank went Gus on his bang-clank equipment. Wah! Yelled Baby Ghost at the noise. The policeman turned pale and bumped into each other, rushing out the door. Here's his bang-clank equipment. He's got chains and pots and measuring spoons. I think Cora's tail is fizzed out. There's the policeman trying to get out. This is a butter churn. In case you didn't know. They used to put milk in it and then put the lid on it and then make the plunger go up and down for a long time. And finally it would make cream. Butter. Just then an early visitor arrived. Keep that kid quiet, hissed Frizzle. Gus snatched Baby Ghost from the cradle and gave it a bottle. He sang a ghostly lullaby until it went back to sleep. Frizzle felt calmer when the visitor left without knowing they had a baby ghost. He said in a reasonable voice, Now, Gus, you know you've got to get rid of it. If I keep it quiet, Gus thought craftily, Frizzle never will know it's here. Leave it to me, Frizzle, he said, and Mr. Frizzle went off reassured. Then Gus got a book on the care and feeding of baby ghosts. And there's the visitor to the museum, and Gus is taking care of the baby. And he's reading the book. Cora's going to help him out there. He ordered milk from the milkman and put in supplies of baby food, ghostly diapers, and talcum powder to keep Baby Ghost comfy. He found a ghostly rattle and other toys to keep it amused. He oiled the antique music box so it played tinkly tunes that Baby Ghost liked to hear. Baby Ghost was content and didn't cry. But one day, Mr. Frizzle, who thought the baby ghost was gone, happened to be passing the cradle when he heard a soft coo. He stopped short and stared at the cradle. You didn't get rid of it, he shouted. Wah! yelled Baby Ghost, alarmed at the noise. Meow! Yowled Cora, alarmed by Baby Ghost. Listen, Frizzle, yelled Gus. Here's all the baby stuff he's ordering. Here's the rattle and the music box, some talcum powder, baby powder, bottles, milk. There's diaper pins, diapers. And Mr. Frizzle, there's Mouse the mouse. Then he lowered his voice. If you would control your temper, everything would be fine. Finally, Mr. Frizzle sat down in the Boston rocker, not knowing what else to do. He lowered his voice, too, and said, Har! Humph! He stared at the cradle, which still looked empty to him. Do you swear it won't cry and ruin business? He demanded. If you don't come roaring around, retorted Gus. Har! Humph! Said Mr. Frizzle. Then Gus put up a large sign. Quiet, please. To remind Mr. Frizzle. Mr. Frizzle began to talk to visitors in hushed tones. He stopped shouting at Gus. He didn't even say, Har! Humph! Because he didn't want to make Baby Ghost cry and alarm the people. But Gus saw him glance at the cradle sometimes, and he knew Mr. Frizzle was nervous. He's sitting down calmly. There's Mouse sneaking away. There's Gus putting up the sign. Quiet, please. One day, Mr. Frizzle was telling a lady visitor in hushed tones so he wouldn't wake Baby Ghost. This is an antique cradle. Suddenly, Mr. Frizzle, the visitor, and Gus, who was nearby, were startled to hear quite plainly, Coo! Have you got a baby ghost? The lady cried. Certainly not, cried Frizzle. Oh, I wish you had a baby ghost, said the lady sadly. Frizzle looked at the lady in surprise. He eyed her suspiciously. Was she joking? He liked to please the visitors to his museum, so finally Frizzle said cautiously, We might have a small baby ghost. The lady rushed off to tell her friends that this wonderful, delightful historical museum had something very special. A real baby ghost. We might have a small baby ghost. Have you ever seen a big baby ghost? Soon crowds of people came, tiptoed in, and stood around waiting to hear the baby ghost in the antique cradle under the old paisley shawl say, Coo. There's a big mixture. Of course, Cora's got to keep watch. Mr. Frizzle. Of course, nobody can see Gus. And they're all standing around watching the cradle. Thinking the mouse was in there. Oh, there he is. He's peeking out of his hole there. Your baby ghost sounds so happy, everyone whispered. Mr. Frizzle proudly whispered back, Our baby ghost has a happy home, that's why. Cora's around keeping watch. Before long, Baby Ghost was a permanent member of the household. Sometimes, when the museum closed after a busy day, Mr. Frizzle sat down in the Boston rocker in a rare good humor. Cora leaped into his lap. Mouse kept as quiet as a mouse. There, showing you the wrong picture. There he is. There's Mouse being quiet. Cora's on his lap. Mr. Frizzle rocked the cradle, while Gus hung Baby Ghost's ghostly washing out in the evening air. You can see Mr. Frizzle in there, sleeping while Gus is hanging out the baby's laundry. In the end, shows Gus with the laundry again, just like the beginning. I thought that was a funny book. I hope you enjoyed it. So you can see Mouse the mouse, Cora the cat, and Gus holding the baby ghost and feeding it while reading The Care and Feeding of Baby Ghosts. Hope you enjoyed that book as much as I enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. See you next time.